All right, folks. So in today's video, we're going to take another look at the Radioddity QT40. It's a new 10-meter radio from Radioddity. Before we get started, I did want to say that I was contacted by the folks at Radioddity, and they sent me this radio free of charge in exchange for this video review. Now, if you're the type of person who is triggered by sponsored videos, it's probably best you go watch some cat videos. All right, so we're making this video because I did a video the other day where I showed the power output of this radio, and I got a lot of questions about it being a channelized radio. And folks are saying, well, it's a channelized radio. How am I going to use that? How can I tune in frequencies? And am I able to tune to the frequencies in between the channels? And the answer to that is yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at the control panel. And here you can see the control panel. So the first thing I want to point out is, yes, it is a channelized control, and it has 40 channels. And that's what it appears on the surface. But if you look down at this knob, you have A through F. Each one of these is a bank of 40 channels that can be programmed with the programming software. So you can put in any quick reference channels that you want. The other thing is that you have a band switch here with high and low. So each one of these bands has a high and a low band or subband. So you can put up an additional set of channels or frequencies. So let me show you how this works. Now this is going to be a little blurry, so I apologize in advance. On the top of the remote, or top of the microphone, I should say, you have two different buttons. If you press these buttons, you can see the frequency for your channel here in the display. So for this particular channel, we are on 28.400 megahertz. And if I change the channel to channel 2, then you can see that we are at 2840.50, and we get an increment there. And that makes sense, right? So the other thing that I can do is I can use the fine control here to move my frequencies up or down 5 kilohertz. So if I hit this, you can see that we are on 2840. If I turn this down, you can see as it adjusts, now we are at 2839.50. And I can turn this up. And then you can see we are at 2840.50. I can turn this back. And then I can tune that to the frequencies that are in between. So what I want to do now is I want to take a quick look, and let me go ahead and turn on this image that I captured, and let me turn off the radio. And this is all of the frequencies as programmed out of the box. And you can see starting with the A band on channel 1, we're at the start of the 10-meter band, which is 28 megahertz. And then on the high side, on C band, we go all the way up to 29.695. And then we can use that button to tune to 29,700, which is the top of the 10-meter band. So with the current configuration as it ships out of the box, I can set to any frequency that I want. The other thing that I wanted to show is the instruction manual. And if you pay attention to lines 10 and 11, I can adjust that fine-tune knob that we were looking at in the menu. I can turn it off if that's something I want to do. I can turn it to R for fine-tune adjustment for receive frequency only, or fine-tune adjustment for transmission frequency only. Or the default, I can leave it on for both TX and RX, transmit and receive frequencies. The other thing is that looking at number 11, you can see fine-tune frequency range. There are two different settings here, F1 and F2. If we take a look at F1, we can adjust the adjustment range plus or minus 500 hertz. The default, which is how I have it set right now, is for 5 kilohertz, and that is F2 setting. Let's go back to the radio and we'll take a look at the menu. Okay, using the microphone, if I hold down the up button, let me turn this off. Press the up button and I turn the radio back on. You can see now that I am in the menu. This BP is for beep, but we're not interested in that. And I can turn this down. And this is the adjustment for the fine-tune span. Now what I can do is I press the PTT or the talk button on my microphone, and I can see that I'm set to F2, which is the default as we discussed. I can turn that to F1, F2, F1. I'm going to leave it on F2 because that's where I like it. So I'm going to let up on this, and then I'm going to turn down one more, and then I get my FN control. And when I push the button in, I can see that it is on receive and transmit. I can adjust that to transmit, I can adjust that to receive, or I can turn it off. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on receive and transmit because, again, that's what I like. Hopefully that cleared up some of the confusion around this radio and how you can adjust your frequencies. I'd like to say thanks to everybody for watching, and I'd like to say thanks to Radioddity for sending me this radio for my consideration.